Good night and welcome to Kingdom Connections Live. We're your hosts and we're glad that you're tuned in with us tonight.
Our topic for tonight is, can you survive? Yes, you can. We just want to encourage you that knowing that God in all things is possible and you can survive.
We have a host of young men of all variety of ages on our show tonight who will be coming on and just expressing what God has done for them. And we're so elated that they agreed to come and to share their testimonies with you. So if you are watching and you know someone who is a male or a man of God, or even someone that does not know the Lord, invite them to share. Please share this page, because tonight is going to encourage and uplift their spirits.
Our first three guests for tonight, they are three dynamic young men who we've watched grow so well as men in the community. The first one I will present before you is Mr. T-Ron Jones. He's very young. I think T-Ron is about 19, 20, he's actually 20 years old. This young man, he is beyond humble. He is sweet. Every time you come across him, he has a radiance about him. Then we have he's also a bass player for Invaders of Christ. We would train for the world. Then we have our drummer. He was here on the show last week, Mr. Julino Cooper. We all know that young man, he is on fire for the Lord, and his life is a living testimony. And along with Julino Cooper, we have Mr. Kenson Wilson Joseph. He is the founder of a farming company called Island Harvest. And we want to support him tonight with his business. And we will present them before you none other than Mr. T-Ron Jones, Julino Cooper, and Wilson Joseph. Welcome to the stage, guys.
Welcome to Kingdom Connections Live TV. How are you guys doing tonight?
You're doing good.
Before we can just say hi to the audience, everybody who's watching, if you want to give a shout out to anybody.
Good night, everybody.
Alright, gents, we're just gonna, the topic for tonight is, can you survive? Yes, you can. That's the response. So, just a question, just throwing it out there. Because you're young men, what do our young men have to survive from? What do you think is the challenge for our young men today in society?
Well, as a young man, and growing in God, growing in the things of God, getting to learn Him more and more, there's still tests because of my age bracket, and because I fall in that area, I could say that the test usually would be like peer pressure, and if not peer pressure, there'd be like lust of the flesh, because there's this thing now where every young male have this desire for material things. So that'll be like our most downfall, like our focus with our attention.
Good night, everyone. Just piggyback off what T-Ron was saying, especially with the young men. As I was growing up, I really was faced with lust of the eyes, especially when it comes to women. I never was a materialistic person, but women, a lot of young men now, we are faced with the lust of their eyes, because nowadays a lot of women, with all due respect, they kind of dressed in ways where it entices us.
You're right.
It's kind of difficult out there when you walk in seeing tight jeans and all this skin showing. So that's really one of our biggest problems.
Yes. I mean, Kenson, I could relate to what you're saying, because you have a lot of young women out there think that in order to be noticed, you have to wear something that is skimpy, or you have to wear very, very short pants or whatever. So I can relate to what you're saying. It can distract you, especially when you're trying to stay on the right path. Yes.
Even the lust of the eyes, whereas
young men, what is it as a young adult, a Christian male? How do you get over those temptations with the lust of the flesh?
One thing I learned as a young man, the only way you get over, you overcome these trials is through prayer, fasting, and the word, and especially fasting. Because some things don't just come in prayer. You need that fasting to destroy the flesh. I was someone who was bound in masturbation, who was bound in fornication. And the only way I could have break that was through fasting and separating myself.
Yes.
And that's the remedy. There ain't no running on the beach and I'm going in the shower to take a cool shower, because after you get out that shower, your blood still warm. And reality still there. That laptop still there. Everybody got a smartphone now. Matter of fact, you didn't even have to go, to be honest, you didn't even have to go on a porn site to watch porn. Because even on IG, everybody naked.
That's so true.
So the only way you go overcome it is through prayer and fasting in the word.
Yes.
Just to add on to what Julino said, another thing which will help you overcome it is to try your best to not be in that situation. Because trust me, the moment you see that, or if you entertain in a conversation with another group of young men and they talking about sex and all this stuff, you best try to walk away. Because when you ain't around them, that conversation come back and you have to put your phone, start looking.
Especially if you're not strong enough.
You need to try to avoid it as best as possible.
Wow, that's very awesome answers.
This question is awesome. Do you think friends, your company, play a major key role in your survival? Just asking.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I believe there's a lot of young males that need to head up, because friends actually play one of the biggest roles in your survival. Because if you are struggling in certain areas and your friends, or the people you surround yourself with, are not strong enough to pull you up out of that situation, all of y'all are just going to sink in that same situation and continue to sink. So your friends have to be some people strong enough or well equipped enough to help you out of your situations and not bring you down or keep you there.
And another thing, when there, say for instance, I'm a person that is friends with 5 robbers. And when I always around these robbers, the only thing left for me to do is be a robber. You understand? And I was in a situation in my life where I was serving God, and because I felt like I was serving Him, I felt like I could have had Christian friends and like I have friends outside of church. But I felt like I was like, okay, I felt like being with those people, I felt like I was like that real Christian, like still making them feel love. But however, I was getting pulled in. I was hearing conversation like Wilson say, like with sex, and it was mostly all about that. You understand? It was this woman and this girl talking to me now, and I talking to this one. And what ended up happening was I was getting pulled into that, and I found myself trying to talk to that person and didn't know when I got synced into fornication again.
I even can relate to
you when you speak about having friends that are saved and also having friends that are not saved. I learned from my leaders that yes, but if you're not strong enough, them unsafe friends will pull you with them.
You can either be a leader or if your spirit being strong enough, you will become a follower. But if some people think they're strong, like me, I don't think it's strong, but I had some friends who we was in the faith together, and we was just a clique. But then all of a sudden they just fall away. They just fall away, and because I know who I am in God, I stick it through, and it's only because of God's grace. Instead of me following them and saying, "Man, I ain't going to church no more," I couldn't take that route. I had to follow what God helped for my life.
One more thing. Sorry. One more thing. This is nice. One more thing. As I want to encourage the Christians, don't let the enemy play tricks in your mind that because you are a Christian that you feel so strong to have unsafe, like to be connected to unsafe people. And that's how the enemy makes us feel, like, because we say, I could be friends with this person. But think about it. Be Christians. And as further as we go in God, the enemy still fight.
Yes.
That means he's still fighting because he knows there's still a way to get us on his
Yes.
So that means we never strong. Once we have God, we strong. But the enemy, that means he still see a way that there's still a way I can get them to sin. There's still a way I can get them to be unsaved. So I want to encourage every Christian, please don't let that play in your mind. Don't treat people like they are outcasts. But you gotta be careful who you connect it to, because spirit attached to spirit. And spirit don't have no respect over outcasts. When you see a depression spirit, when attached to that can attach to it, even any permission. So
For those who are just tuning in, we just want to invite you to share this live feed to your friends, whether they are saved or unsaved. We have three dynamic young men. We have Mr. Julino Cooper, Mr. Kenson, Wilson Joseph, and we have Mr. T. Ron Jones live with us tonight. And the topic is, can you survive? Yes, you can. So we just want you to share this live feed with somebody tonight.
Gentlemen, I'm encouraged by what you're saying, and I just want to ask a question about a lot of young men I found are bound. And I don't know if you want to share an incident or something that you were probably bound with, and how do they find the gateway to deliverance? Because they can be churchgoers, maybe, or maybe they just visit in church, and they still have this repetitive problem, and they're becoming discouraged. How do you become unbound? How do you become freed from whatever you're bound with?
That's another good question. Because I was bound, because I was a young man growing up. Lust of the flesh and lust of the eyes. And I started to become attracted to females and gain understanding of what they are and why they were here. So, masturbation, pornography, these things had me bound through a certain time period in my life. And I had to come to a realization, God had to show me that the more free time I have, the more opportunities there is for me to go and watch pornography, or the more opportunities for me to go and masturbate, or to go talk to a female, or get involved into something I'm not supposed to be involved in. So the best escape, the best way to avoid or to get around or get out of your bondage is to distract your spirit. Get yourself buried into the things of God, where you wouldn't be able to get to these bondages.
I love that. You get on Facebook, distract your spirit. Jesus. That's a hashtag, distract your spirit.
Ron answered that question perfectly.
Another question. Being a young adult Christian, the Bible said, "Come ye out from among them, be separated." Our leaders directs us in the right path. But as young people, sometimes we say, "Man, I want to experience things for myself. Let me go and let me be me, and I may come back to God as God." You understand? So, how would you encourage someone to say, listen to your parents, listen to your leaders? They know what they're saying, because some of us go down that path and we never return.
That's true. That's true.
Someone who returned, I wanna, because that's a good question. Because I learned when you hit the age of 18, there's something comes over you that you just feel like you know life.
Yes. I've done it already.
You will experience nothing, but you just feel like I know life. I don't want nobody to say nothing to me. I don't want no mommy to me and y'all ain't live. You ain't nothing like back then. Things different now, because that's how we feel, and experiencing what I experienced, moving. Well, I made myself homeless for a couple hours because I was going through my home. Well, I was carrying my mommy them too.
Yeah.
So I was going through it. Yeah, I felt like I was mad. I felt like I knew, I felt like I just knew what I was doing. You understand? And what I did was, because I couldn't stand the rules,
Yes.
I pack my own clothes and I put them in my car.
My God. Jesus.
Mind you, I had nowhere to go. No, this is serious. I had nowhere to go.
Yes.
You know, my sister, Pastor Gibson, she come in the room, she said, you know, you gotta talk. I said, I don't hate you. I said, we hate you. And mind you, that's the most awkward prophet you ever find in these times. Even me, I felt like, I didn't hear your dream, I didn't hear what you had, and I packed my clothes and I left covenant.
My God.
And because I left covenant, I end up out of place of God, and I end up backsliding, and I end up bound in fornication, and I end up bound in all these things. And I had to understand that this is not. You have to listen to your leaders. And honestly, this is what I really would answer this question with. I would pray that when you reach the age of 18, that you would listen to your parents. But sometimes as young people experience, in that time frame, it's that experience what gets us back here. However, some don't return.
Yes.
You know, but I had this, it's how you grow up too.
Yes,
I grew up in church.
foundation.
I grew up in church, and I want to encourage somebody. Galatians 5:1 says, stand fast in the liberty as Christ has made us free, and do not be entangled again with the yoke of bondage. And read on that and study that, and do not be entangled again. If you're in a position where you save and 18 and up, like stay grounded, stay molded, stay away from the people that you know. And we sometimes know who we connected to, who we're supposed to be connected to, but we still connected to them, but still keep pushing. No matter what, the enemy can come to your mind and say, well, oh, you don't supposed to do this, or you don't have to listen to them. That's only the enemy. But their leaders, your parents, they know the route you should take. And the only thing I can say is, stay stern, do not be entangled again, and keep pushing. Keep pushing.
Just to add on about being when persons get at the age of 18, they feel like there's their own man, there's their own woman. They can do whatever they want to do. Please listen to the older persons in your life, your parents, listen to your leaders. Because when you reach that age of 18, that's because the world have this cult, the world have us where once you hit 18, you're an adult, you're on your own. But it ain't like that.
Nope.
Please still listen to them because they know what's best. People just want to say they want to experience it for themselves, but you could learn from other people's experience. You ain't got to go do dance and see how they went just so you can experience it yourself. What if you make it through that experience? You need to listen. Please.
This is Kingdom Connections Live. We want to thank you for joining with us. And we are here with our guests, T-Ron Jones, Mr. Julino Cooper, and Kenson Joseph. And they are here speaking on the topic, can you survive? Yes, you can. And they're doing an awesome job so far. You know, I have a question for anyone of you can answer. What do you say to a young man that is in church, but is in a backslid condition and does not realize it?
You know you're in a boxing condition. You have to know.
Yeah.
You have
To be honest, you have to know if you're in a backsliding condition. Because if you're supposed to be saved and in church, the conviction of God will rest upon you and let you know you ain't doing something right. You need to, if you've been praying and fasting and seeking God's face like you say you was, and you know you're in a backsliding condition, something wrong with that.
Yeah, I could add to that, because there's no way you could be in church, be in a real church, or not know that, alright, something's not right. I don't feel connected to God the way I used to feel, because when you reach a certain level with God and in the things of God, there's always a feeling. So if you fall from that level, you would feel that connection is not what it was before. So there's always a way for you to find out that, alright, I need to push more, I need to get where I need to be.
Go ahead.
Like, sorry, you all asking some juicy questions. So, if you was a person who used to pray a lot, fast a lot, read the word a lot, and you stop doing that, you know you're in a boxing condition. Because that's the first things the enemy will take you from. Prayer, fasting, and the word. Listen to me. Before he take you to church, he can take you from the things that keeps you in church. So from you move away from prayer, fasting, and the word, you know you out of place. And like I said last week Sunday, I preached. The enemy is not going to waste his time to get you out there. He's not going to waste his time to get you in the club. He's not going to waste his time to get you holding a bottle of rum or smoking. Back then, now he could have done that. Yeah. But I felt like he understands that. He understands that once you could be in church, but once I have you out of position.
My God.
He understands that. If you're a person who's supposed to be a prayer warrior, and you just sitting in church like you're a zombie, he good with that. He good with that. He honestly good with that. Because he knows that person is powerful, but I have them out of place. And once I have you out of place, my kingdom ain't threatened. So I don't need you to get you out there. You can just sit here and just die. And that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. The spirit of manipulation is happening inside church, and Christians don't understand it. It's especially the set. Like your question, who don't know they backslide? You got some people who don't even know, like they out of place, but they feel like they still in church. They're backslide. But backslide doesn't mean going back to going out of church. Backslide means you stop praying, you stop fasting, you stop reading the word.
You only come to church. I got to clap for that. It's a church door.
In response to what Julino just said, it almost as if you have people who are in that position, they're in denial that they are in a backslidden condition because they're so comfortable in the state that they're in. They feel like there is no room for change, and change only comes to those that desires change. So what could you tell a young man who is either unsaved or who is saved, who isn't and who doesn't have his first love with God the way he had it? How do they know when it's time for a change? What feeling? Because like you shared your testimony, you was like a prodigal son. When did you know that it was time for you to change? Even Kenson can attest to it with his story. How did you know that it was time for you to change and come back to where God helped you to be?
Nothing was going right.
My God.
Nothing. Even in my spirit, I felt. You ever been in a place, wherever you go, and you felt so uncomfortable that I have to go home? That's how I feel like nothing was going right around me. And I felt in my, like even the place where I was playing at the time, because I wasn't back home as yet in my home church. I was playing somewhere else. I come to practice, my spirit was like, you're not supposed to be here. I go to church, you're not supposed to be here. What you doing here? Like, that came over me. It started coming over me. And for months strong, I was like, I can't fight this feeling. And even the relationship I was in, get out now, get out now, get out now, get out now. I started having dreams, get out now, get out now. So you know nothing goes right. And when Jesus wants your attention, he is going to move.
Yes.
And before I wanted him to move,
I
moved myself.
Yes.
You understand? One thing to answer a question to the unsaved, when you want to get back to that place you have to drop everything. It isn't I drop this relationship here, then I can still be in the same church I'm supposed to be in. Then I drop this church here, then I can go back. No, you drop everything one time. You cut it out one time. Don't piece it. Because in the position the devil trying to put, especially us young people in, it ain't no I piece and drop here, I piece and drop it one time. Drop it one time. When the prodigal son was in the position he was in, he arose inside himself and he said, what am I doing here? Isn't my father servants eating way better than me? The Bible said he arose.
Yes.
What you think he do? He left where he was. He didn't tell nobody he was leaving. He didn't tell nobody he was leaving. He didn't care. He didn't care what his boss think at the time. He didn't care what whoever he's with at the time. He left and went back to his father's house, and he was robed with the ring, with the robe and slippers and all the beautiful stuff, and they had a feast for him.
I'd like to touch on that too, because I heard Sister Kayla, she said the word comfortable. I want to tell every young man, every young Christian, never find yourself in a position where you are comfortable with where you are.
My God, yes.
Always be hungry, always try to excel, always try to move higher and push your way in God. When you find yourself comfortable, you are trapped in the enemy have you in a hole. You could be saved and you could be comfortable. But once you are saved, the enemy can have you and you could be saved.
Yes.
So you could be saved and still be in bondage. You could be saved and still tied down and still being held back. So always try to not be comfortable. Always try to exceed where you are.
My God. Jesus.
We thank you for tuning in. We have the 3 dynamic, awesome young men of God. We would like you to share, comment, and invite someone to this worship to be uplifted as young men as they share their testimony, and that you can be changed and you can survive.
Just before Sister Monique said what she said, just to answer Kayla's question, for me, what made me realize that, I wasn't where I need to be, it's because, like Tyrone said, you have to be in a real church. And it wasn't until Apostle preached a message that the word sometimes just convict you.
Yes.
And I know I wasn't where I needed to be. So sometimes you have to get in the real church where the leaders preaching the word and not just preaching blessings and all that stuff. You have to preach the fear and the conviction of God.
Yes.
That's through God's grace got me back to where I needed to be.
Whereas we were in ministry with a lot of young men, and a lot of them are not here. What I know that some people say, you can say what you want to say. You don't know what position I'm in. You don't know what I'm going through at this moment and stuff like that. What would you say to someone who you knew that was in the faith, that dedicated to the faith? What would you say to that person? Because some people that I don't want you to encourage me. God know me. I know God.
Yes.
You understand? Don't judge me. That's their famous word. Don't judge me. What would you say to that young man who you know that could have so much potential of being who they could be in God? What would your word or would your statement be to them?
For the young man who was in church, those who backslide and feel like, don't judge me, or I know God for myself. I can't even be mad at you, but I just want to encourage you.
Yes.
All of us have our shortcomings.
Yes.
All of us have our trials and our tribulations we have to go through.
Yes.
But remember, the Bible says you have to go to God for yourself.
Yes.
You have to go to God for yourself. I can't judge you because I was too once in that same position.
Yes.
All I could do was help uplift you, pray for you, and encourage you. You will make it. You will survive.
Yes.
For those that are in a backsliding position, those that fell away from their calling, remember the first reason you got saved in the first place. What was so awesome? What did you experience that got you to get saved in the first place?
My Lord. Lord. Jesus.
What makes you think anything changed?
Jesus.
What's holding you back to say, all right, I can't be in this predicament anymore because I got saved from this position because it was not for me. So why go back to where I am not supposed to be? If I know that there is a God that doesn't want me in this position, a God that wants me to succeed, why am I going back to this position?
Yes, Jesus. My God, my God. Jesus. If you answer, go ahead.
Drop everything. I know you peace in it, and I know you say you come in, but that's the place the enemy wants to have you in. Keep saying you come in, and you ain't moving. And once you still in that same place, the enemy will have dominion over you. And I read in the Bible where Jesus was saying, whatever, he was talking about the fruits of the tree. And whatever tree that does not bring it good fruit, he chop it down. And I remember my mommy preached a sermon where the axe is laid
to the root of the tree.
And she also said, we all have a purpose on this earth. And if you're not pursuing that purpose, I ain't trying to make nobody scared, you know? But the fear of God gotta come back to everyone have a purpose, and as long as you're not pursuing that purpose that God has given you, He's going to cut you down.
Simple.
And don't take it light when we see all these accidents around us. Don't take it like life is happening, but we understand that it's happening in our younger generation for a reason, because it's the younger generation that God is calling us to bring us up, and there's certain things He have to do to get our attention. And I want to encourage you, before it's you, I encourage you, whatever you're going through, give it to God, because if you're crying now, make something out of that cry. Don't just cry and stay there, but pursue God and be blessed out of that cry. Say within yourself that I'm going to make something within this cry and be delivered through that cry. Be blessed through that cry. Encourage someone through that cry, through that place you was in. And I encourage you to fulfill your purpose.
My God, hallelujah.
I want to touch on that too. Look at this, right? The older generation is mostly saved. If the older generation is mostly saved, and as time go on, because we are made at a certain time we're supposed to die or whatever. Alright, so if the younger generation does not get saved, who's going to save the generation after us?
My God.
Come on now. Preach a stairs. Preach.
Who's going to save your children, their children, your niece and nephew? Who's going to save the generation after? And we refuse to be where we're supposed to be. Just think about that. Think about these things.
My God.
If you are just watching us live, this is Kingdom Connections Live, and we have a powerful panel of guests tonight. These awesome, dynamic young men, and more to come. We have Brother T. Ron Jones, we have Mr. Julino, Biscuit Cooper, and Mr. Wilson Kenson Joseph, who are sharing, Can You Survive? Yes, you can. If you're watching, we encourage you to share this broadcast with a young man, with a friend, with a co-worker, somebody who needs to hear these encouraging and uplifting words. Men of God, as I look at you, I see kingdom promoters. I see generals that sit here to promote what God is doing. So my question is, not even a question, but the world paints such a good image of what the world has to give. Can you share with maybe a young man that's not saved, what is the benefits of this kingdom, of being a part of the kingdom of God?
Yeah, powerful question.
This is a very good question, but I only can speak from my position. In His presence, there's fullness of joy. In His presence, there is peace. And when I commit my life to God, I experience that.
Yes.
I experience that because you understand that. I can put it like this. In life, you got some people who honestly don't need God to be blessed. You got some rich people who ain't got Jesus on their mind, but they just rich. And then you got some people that need God just for everything to go right. And I call that person myself. I need Jesus
For everything.
for everything.
Yes.
When I backslid, like nothing was going right. Nothing. Honestly, nothing. It was only through the grace of God and my self-motivation to bring me back to this place. So I want to encourage somebody, if nothing is going right in your life, it's a reason. Because you have a purpose.
Yes.
You have a purpose, and Jesus is calling you to Him. That's the only way everything can go just the way. That's the benefits of God. That's the benefits of God.
God, being in God has infinite amount of benefits. Trust me. Some days I just wake up some mornings singing praises. My wife is be like, "Be quiet, man. You know you can't sing." I just gotta sing. I just gotta express how much I love Him.
Yes.
I mean, where
My God.
you he gives me a peace that I can't even understand. A peace that passes all understanding. Even when I stressed about bills or work or what's not, it's like when I think about God, they don't even be on my mind. They don't even be on my, they're talking about where you have someone who heals you, someone who provides for you, someone who opens doors for you, make ways out of no way.
Impossible.
Trust me, that's only a few. God's benefits are infinite.
Yes. My God. Jesus. Your teacher.
Tonight we have two more guests. Reverend Cecil, our very own Reverend Cecil from the Invaders for Christ Family Center. And our very own Pastor Alfred Gibson. We would like to welcome them to the panel on tonight.
And we'd also like to thank our wonderful guests that were before us and giving such wonderful words to our young men. So ladies and gentlemen, we thank you. We thank you so much, Mr. Wilson Joseph, Brother Julino Cooper, and also Mr. T. Rowan Jones. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and we love you back, gentlemen.
Yes.
If you're just watching our show, tonight's topic is, can you survive? Yes, you can. And as Bonnie said before, we invite to the stage these awesome men of God who will come, who is Reverend Cecil Moore of the Invaders for Christ, and our very own pastor, Pastor Alfred Gibson. Ladies and gentlemen, we present them to the stage. And we do say, Pastor Alfred is saying versatile. He just came directly from work. He is so dedicated to the cause. He came directly from his job to be with us tonight. Welcome, men of God. God bless you. You want to say hello to our viewing audience?
Good night, Facebook.
Good night.
Good night, Facebook and viewing audience.
So we just want to start off by asking you guys to give the live audience a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your story, and how you survived. Just give us a brief overview of how you made it through what you were just struggling.
Well, I survived based on, I came from a broken home. Like I listened on the young brothers them who was here just now. It was really interesting, you know. And one time I didn't care if I'd live or die, to be honest, because the challenges, like I said, where I came from a broken home, you know, it began to deter the plan God had on my life.
How I survived? Only through God's grace.
Amen.
God's grace, that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? When you use the word survive, that word survive is go around. That could be used in many ways.
Yeah.
For instance, I survived by God's grace. Or Pastor Champy was survived by his wife, kids,
My God.
whatever. You understand? So in life, you have to choose what you're going to be survived by.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Jesus.
For instance, like I say, I'm surviving by God's grace, but you mightn't have that opportunity to be survived by God's grace. You might just be survived by wife and children, which means that you might be in the obituary column and you might die early, and not having God's grace.
My God.
So how I survive? I survive by God's grace.
Jesus.
As older, seasoned, as seasoned men of God, I want to ask you the question of, you know, being married and having a family. How do you lead them, you know, to stand when, you know, sometimes you can't stand yourself as being the priest of your home? How do you stand? How do you survive to let them be the survivors out there in this broad world?
Yes.
Well, I realized I have to lead by example. I wasn't always saved, and God had a call on my life, and based on the call, I been running. I realized you can't outrun God. So God, like He set it up where I was afflicted before I got saved. And being afflicted, what had happened, I was near death. And God had a woman of God, a pastor, she came and she had walked past. And when she walked past, my wife and my mother was there. And I was dying. And she came, she said she left the hospital and God sent her back. And when God sent her back, she passed me. I was conscious enough. I saw her pass me, and when she passed me, she doubled back. It's like someone was talking to her. And when she doubled back, she came to me and she said, how is he doing? And my wife and my mother told him, not good. And what had happened, they said that, the doctors don't know what was going on with me. And really, they didn't know. And she said, the Lord sent me to you. And she said, the Lord have a heavy call on your life. And she said, the Lord said, the pain is here. And she began to touch where the pain was. And she said, God say He's going to heal you.
My God.
And say when He heal you, He have a way for you. And she began to prophetically declare the word of God on my life. I never saw before. And she has died now, Pastor Doris Brown. And what she said, God said He's going to heal you and He's going to put you to weight. And she said, do you want to be healed? And I said, yes. When she touched me, the pain went. She said, in 2 days you will come to this hospital and you will come look for me. And God will have a wait for you. And it happened from there.
Amen.
Man of God, now we're gonna use the phrase lightly, because we don't season. We're not gonna say old, because we have the younger guests here in their age bracket, and we asked them what was the greatest temptation and their pull. In the churches today, there is a lack, I can say to be honest, of older men taking the forefront, like how you are a reverend and you're a pastor. What do you think is the pull that is keeping older men away from the house of God, from the work of God?
That's a good question. Me, I feel tradition.
My God. Jesus.
Tradition is killing. When I say it's killing the older men from actually wanting to be in church. Just tradition on the whole. You understand? Wanted to. Then you have certain people who don't believe in certain. They get mad. They get really disgruntled when you have women leaders are coming up. And they say to themselves, women ain't supposed to be leaders. You understand? Women ain't supposed to lead, but who's supposed to lead if you ain't lead?
My God.
But then, my thing is, on the flip side, I grew up in a house where I grew up with just my grandmother. My mom used to work night shift, straight shift, double. So I grew up with just my grandmother. For me to sit down and say I don't believe in women leaders, and these were the women leaders that was leading me.
My God.
I'll be kicking against everything that gone right in my life, in my house. You understand? It wasn't my granddaddy or my daddy who was carrying me to church. It was my Grammy.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? They's the one who told me, Jumpy, you gotta get up, we gotta go to church. You understand what I'm saying? So for me to kick against women leaders, and these women was leading me all my life, then I going against them.
That's revelation. That is awesome.
Amen.
Influence. Even coming up in a broken home, and my father was never there. He left from I was at the age of 9 years old. And what had happened, I said to myself, I ain't gonna be like my father. Even though, often you'll have your siblings say, you can be no good just like your father.
Yes.
And they began to speak over your life. I would say to many parents, be careful what you say to your children.
Yeah.
And I've learned that. And what had happened, I decide, I make up in my mind, even though I was running from God, I make up in my mind, I said, when I was to have children, I ain't gonna abandon my children like my father did. And even saying that I see sometimes, like even pressure beget for men, it becomes so hard because their manhood is being tested.
Yes.
You know, especially even the young men. And right now I have 5 boys based on that.
Jesus.
And when they're born, I made up in my mind, I say, because there was one time my son, he went to school, and you know, like I came, like I say, from a broken home, and I was exposed to the streets at the early age because I had to help my mother take care of the rest of my siblings. We had a family of 6, and 9 years old, I selling newspaper and washing car, and I still being exposed to marijuana and stuff like that. So, being a young man, I seen everybody else doing it, so I said, let me try it. And when I tried it, the first time I did it, I had to go on the road to see if I had my legs.
Wow.
Because it just blew me away. But afterwards, I realized, like as I grew, like my son, when I had a son, he went to school and he began to roll up paper, and the teacher sent a note to me.
Wow.
And I didn't like it. And I said, I have to make that change in order for him to be different.
In response to what you said, when you got